All right, all right, all right. You didn't watch the World Series last night. Bonehead of the Year award goes to Kevin Cash. Blake Snell's in there with 9 strikeouts, only 75 pitches, wheeling and dealing. Like I told everybody, if you don't hit Snell early, he settles down, that's it. And Kevin Cash decides to go to the bullpen early, and, well, didn't pan out too well. Uh, Dodgers score on, I think the second run came on stealing home. Mookie Betts seals it with a bomb, which Boston fans, man, don't you regret your GM trade Mookie Betts now? Uh, and everybody said I was nuts because I told you the Dodgers in 6. Well, here I am. I told you Dodgers in 6. And not only that, I told you the games the Rays would win 2 and 4. For those who think I don't know my shit, I told you. Um, all in all, great series. Kershaw gets his ring. Uh, that Urias kid who started, I think, game 4, dominant out of the bullpen for him last night. Dodgers got a team built there. They're going to be a force to reckon with for years. I can see it now. I think they're now, honestly, they're a complete team. Corey Seager is, the World Series MVP. He was just on fire every friggin' game in that series. You can say the same for Justin Turner. Say the same for Max Muncy. The key to why the Dodgers won was A, obviously it was the pitching, but B, they were hitting when they need to hit in clutch situations. 2 out, 1 on, 2 out, 2 on, 1 out bases. Whatever the situations were dealt to them, they capitalized every single time for the most part. Um, you know, Tampa's got a decent roster of players over there, but Kevin Cash, that move just literally made no sense at all. None. And it was criticized throughout the rest of the game, and it's been criticized since. Like on Facebook, it's criticized. Instagram, everywhere I turn, it's criticized. And I'm curious, and because after I saw that they won, I put a movie on. I went to bed. Um, I'm curious, and maybe I'll watch it in a little bit once I get to work. I get settled in and ignore a few phone calls like I always do, and maybe I'll watch it, and see, you see what was said. His reasoning as to why you pull Snell in the 5th with 75 pitches and 9 strikeouts. If he leaves Snell in there, I think Tampa winds up winning that game. Um, and then it goes to 7, which many didn't want to see. I was asked yesterday by another Yankee fan why I'm rooting for the Dodgers to win the World Series, and it's simple. I said it should be the same reason why you should be. You don't want to see somebody in your division, a rival that now has become one of your most hated rivals, win the World Series. No, why would you want that? So obviously you're gonna, root for the Dodgers to win. And I would have done so if it was the Mets, the Phillies, and Nationals. I would root against Tampa. Um, and then there was something else interesting I saw because as I was watching the game, I was going through Instagram and football related with Cam Sutton, who filled in wonderfully for Hilton this past Sunday. And it's just a black screen, and then it has a peace sign, and now all the rumors are starting. Was he traded? I've heard dumb rumors as to he moved on from his girlfriend, which that's the dumbest. I'm sorry, nobody's gonna do that on Instagram. Honestly, he was a free agent at the end of the year. Uh, Nothing official has come out, but if I had to guess, and the strongest rumor I hear out there is him to New England for Gilmore and a 3rd-round draft pick. I'd be surprised that New England is trying to deal off Gilmore, but there was also rumblings in that before the season started. And honestly, I think it's just a salary cap dump. But I also think I don't think the Steelers were going to redo a deal with Cam Sutton at the end of the year. Not that he really commands that much money anyway, so you could have signed him for basically nothing. Um, I guess we'll wait and see what happens. Um, if they did trade him, hopefully it is for somebody for the caliber of a Steve Gilmore, or hopefully somebody that can, you know, fill in for Devin Bush. But I hope they're not doing it as a rental for a win now situation. Because if that's all you're doing it for, then you should have just kept Cam Sutton and just played that position by committee at that point, in my opinion. The guy, he fills in for Hilton, he balls out, and then you're going to trade him. I mean, but football's a business. You got to do what's best for business. And if you didn't think you were going to get a deal done with him, then the smart move is, unlike the Jets organization, is you trade him for what you can get. As the Jets learned from the Bell situation, you released him and you got who got for that. So that's that on that one. But back to the World Series, and this one's odd of how mid-game. I thought these players got tested before games. The morning of, hours before, the hour before, or however many times they got to get tested before the game starts. And Justin Turner, mid-game, gets pulled. And everybody goes, why? Well, you find out that he tested positive for COVID, but he doesn't show any symptoms, and he says he's fine. But now let's fast forward to the end of the game. Dodgers win, they're running around, like they all lost their virginities, and Justin Turner's back on the field hugging every single player on the team. Okay? I get you want to be with your teammates, but don't you think you should have been a little safer about it, considering the fact that you just 2 hours before that tested positive? Not really the smartest move on Justin Turner's part, or the Dodgers for allowing him to run out there and be with his teammates. And I get, it's a huge accomplishment, you want to celebrate, and I get it, but not with what's going on right now. Not really such a good look for you, Turner, and that I'm sure will get criticized by LA Sports Talk Radio and analysts out there and analysts across the world probably, because something like that, you kind of got to take a look at. But for the life of me, still, Kevin Cash, man, what the hell? What were you thinking there, man? I mean, you're wheeling and dealing with Snell, and then somebody posted one of these podcast pages that I follow on Facebook, Talking Yanks, I believe it's called. If you never listen to them, it's a decent listen. But I welcome Snell to the Yankee organization. If the opportunity were to, present itself. Yeah, I would. If I'm going to get the Blake Snell goes out there and pitches like last night, pretty much every night, every fifth start, yeah, I'm taking him. And if I'm Cash and I'm getting on the phone this morning and I'm calling Snell's agent, being like, hey, looks like he wasn't too happy last night. Maybe he won out of Tampa. Hey, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. Because Tampa always signs these guys to big contracts, and then they dump them off for draft picks and, and no-name players who become superstars. And, look at an Austin Meadows, Joe Manchoy, however you say his first name, another guy who is an absolute Garrett Cole killer. And just a whole bunch of other guys on that team. But if I'm Snell, and you could tell it was written all over his face the rest of the game. He just wasn't happy that he wasn't on the mound. And I don't blame him. You made a decision, and it wasn't the right one. It all comes down to, that's part of coaching, and no matter what sport you're in, you got to make the decision you think is best for your team, but I guess it's a new era of baseball. This isn't like when Nolan Ryan would pitch a no-hitter and throw 300 pitches, and you got Satchel Paige out there literally throwing 20 innings a game. and I get all that, but it's fifth inning and 75 pitches, which is a decent pitch count by that point. Um, Especially by the standards now. Um, I wouldn't have pulled him. I would have kept him in there. Um, you could say it was because of a pitching matchup reason, but even still, I still wouldn't have pulled him. Uh, Tampa Bay Rays fans, if you want to blame somebody for why you're not hoisting up a World Series trophy tonight, um, blame your manager. Don't blame Snell. Don't blame this guy. Don't blame that guy. Blame your manager because he made the bonehead move. I could criticize the decision because I've seen Boone make the same exact decision, and I've criticized him for it. And if that was Yankees Dodgers and Boone did that with Gerrit Cole on the mound, I'm flipping my shit. I am flipping my shit. I'm flipping the coffee table. I'm flipping everything. Flipping everything in sight. Just again, that's not that move shouldn't have been made there. I can understand if he was like at 95, 100 pitches in the fifth inning. Yeah, you make that move, especially if he's got no outs, two men on. But I think the situation was 2 outs. He had a 1-1 count, whatever it was. I gotta go back and look at this point. Really, it makes no difference because, again, just a bonehead decision. Just a bonehead move, and you gotta, it's game 6. You got your number one guy out there pitching for you. I'm sorry, you ride it till the wheels fall off. Ride it till the wheels fall off. And the other issue was, it's that move, and the Rays only put 1 run on the board. Only one. Willy Adames was non-existent in this World Series. He was like 3 for 21, 22. That Orteronza guy, how do you say, Randy or whatever his name is, that guy, he's another guy. Nobody's ever heard of him. All of a sudden the postseason starts and the guy hits everything in sight. He was hitting balls thrown over here, over there. He was hitting them everywhere. So you could write a Dr. Seuss book on his hitting alone. And if you were going to pull that move with Snell, then why would you start Snell there? You might as well have just done your opening starter routine and just pieced it together that way. And then left Snell for Game 7 if there's going to be a Game 7. But then you also got to think about this, that if Kevin Cash does that, guess what? He gets criticized for that too. And honestly, I don't think this was going 7 to begin with. Like I said in earlier videos, it just wasn't going to go 7. The Dodgers just have too much hitting, they have too much pitching, and Tampa couldn't keep up. You could build a decent team with a minimal salary cap, but when you only spend $20 million, and everybody will say, well, they got all these guys. Yeah, you got all these guys, but you know what? And it's an old saying: you got to spend money to make money. Okay. And what it means is, as a team, as a GM, as an owner, you got to spend money to get decent players, to put a decent product on the field, to get what to come there? Fans. And what do fans do when they go to a game? They spend money, right? And I get there were no fans, and you had to play in a bubble and go from one stadium to another, and I get that. But when there is fans in the stands again, Tampa doesn't draw well anyway. The only time Tampa or the Marlins make any money is when the Mets and Yankees go down there, because you got all the people that from New York that moved to Florida that retired or don't want to get ass raped in taxes up here, so they go there so they can live like kings and queens. Which, hey, you know what? Tip my cap to you. I wish I could do the same thing. That's the only time they ever draw. And it's utterly sad that that's the only time that they draw. And you would think because big name teams come in there, and you would think they would draw like when the Braves come or the Phillies or somebody like that, but no, they only seem to really draw when the Yankees and the Mets come to town. And that's why they can't spend money, because they don't make enough. Because you put a mediocre product. The Marlins especially put a mediocre product. I mean, they got guys that friggin' I wouldn't even put on a Little League team. And, you know, and you could say, well, Jim, you know, they made the playoffs, they made the wild card, you know, but it was also a shortened season. If that's a full 162 game season this year, they're not making the playoffs. They're not. They're not making a wild card. The Phillies and the Nationals would have crept up and took it, or dare I even say the Mets. So you got to spend the money, and the Yankees know how to spend the money. The Dodgers obviously know how to spend money. You know, let's see what happens with this Cohen deal, because, you know, like I said in another video, De Blasio apparently, you know, the city of New York can block the sale, and they can investigate it and make sure it's all on the up and up. And for whatever reason, I forget what it was, but it had something to do when Citi Field was built. But you're gonna let De Blasio investigate it? Why don't you investigate the money your wife lost, or that you can't find? Okay. You know, do I see Steve Cohen spending money at some point for the Mets? Yeah, but it's not going to be right away. So Mets fans, don't think you're going out there and getting JT Realmuto, who honestly commands too much money at the catcher position. And I wouldn't spend the money on him. At least not $200 million. You know, they're not going to spend the money right away. But, you know, some of you Mets fans that, you know, live or die by this team, and, you know, you think every year you guys are going to win the World Series, whatever you put on the field. Just realize this right now. The money's not going to be spent right away. It is going to be spent, but just not right away. You know, cause he's got to come in. He's got to decide who he wants to keep. You know, does Louis Rojas stay? You know, who's he going to try to trade off? Who's he going to release? Who's going to be the GM? He's got all that to think about before he even spends a dime on putting a quality product on the field. And that's something, though, that if he doesn't put a quality product in the field after he bought the team that he's been a fan of forever, well, Mets fans, then you're doomed forever, and this team is just going to be trash like it's always been. You know, again, you know, if you're a small market team like a Tampa, Florida Marlins, Oakland A's, and Oakland A's and Nolan, they never spend money but yet produce talented players that then become superstars with other teams. And Billy Beane needs to, you know, that Moneyball thing can only work so long before you're going to have to spend a decent amount of money on 2 or 3 players and get those, you know, those guys like you had Giambi and Damon and Isringhausen so many years ago. And in Tampa, I don't know who the GM is there, but he's going to have to realize that too, that if they want to win it next year, they're going to have to get another starting pitcher. Charlie Morton is like 36, 37 years old. You know, he's not going to be able to pitch forever. And, you know, they're going to have to spend money there. And the same thing in Florida. Jeter's going to have to start spending money. It's what it comes down to. You know, you want a decent product on the field, you got to spend money. You recoup your money so fast from what you spent based on what you charge for beers, hot dogs, and all these concessions you got at stadiums. I mean, I've been to Yankees. I went to Yankee Stadium. It was like 2 years ago. Me and my friend went. We went to the Jim Beam Suite, and it was like $54 for 2 beers and 2 shots. What? $54. You know what I get for $54 out here on Long Island? Damn, I get like 5 shots and 4 Heinekens. Shit. But you go, that's what you pay, and that's why. You know, and that's the other thing. Somebody asked me, you know, my comparison to this Yankee Stadium to the older Yankee Stadium. You know, it was more. The old Yankee Stadium was always louder because you had a different class of fans there. The new Yankee Stadium's been built for the corporate type of fan, and you could tell by the pricing of everything and just how it's all just put together. You know, was there a need for a new Yankee Stadium? I guess so, but don't price out your diehard fans that have been spending money with you since God knows when. And that's why it's not as loud as it used to be. And not only that, you're putting, uh, I wouldn't say the best product out there. I mean, it's a winning product, but it's one that, it's not what we've expected. And with what we have, we should be doing way more than what we've accomplished. And hopefully next year that's the case. It's been quite some time now without a postseason run, without a World Series. I think time's up on that one. We got the team to do it with, so I think we're one more pitcher away. So if we can get Bauer or Snell, I'm all for it. Uh, I wish this video could be longer, but my buddy's train's pulling up, so I have to cut it short. I'll try to make another one later if I don't go to the gym. Till then, stay safe. Peace.